Small business owners know cutting costs without cutting quality is tough. How do you trim expenses without hurting your business? Easy. Get Spectrum Business. Call 888-489-2212. Switch to Spectrum Business and you can get the best internet and phone services for half of what you're paying today. Cutting costs can be easy when you get Spectrum Business. Just call 888-489-2212. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Why is there a harbor seal walking around the office?
Oh, that's our new CEO.
Come again?
Well, apparently they didn't order through EasyCater for the board meeting, and when the food didn't arrive, they kind of lost focus. Next thing you know...
We have a seal as our CEO. Did I say something wrong?
No, she just wants a mackerel. Here you go.
Bad ideas happen when there's no food for the meeting. So make sure it's on time and as ordered from more than 80,000 restaurants. Now, EasyCater.
Thank you. I just got promoted.
Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.
Coming up on the Beltway Blitz in just a few minutes, we're going to talk Wizards, NBA Finals with Nick Ashew, and Washington football team 11 days out from training camp with Darren Haynes, Channel 9 in town. Welcome in our Richmond audience, 9:10 a.m., 105.1 FM, to all of you in and around the D.C. area on 106.7. You know we appreciate you. Take the show with you on the Odyssey app. You can pause, you can rewind. It's coast to coast. People are listening right now all over the country. Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the app. Listen to The Fan, all the sports news, music, and podcasts that move you. It is time to kick off our Blitz. Let's get to it. 3 teams in town you care about. We'll start you off on the diamond with Craig Heist. He's keeping you up to date every half hour or so on The Fan today. Heisty, there is a ton going on with the Nats. So let's start with the news on Starlin Castro. What do we know?
Well, he's been placed on administrative leave, and that can be up to 7 days, and they are investigating an alleged domestic violence incident involving Starling. Now, you remember back on the 16th, he left the team, too, for a little while, a couple of days, but this is not related to that, according to Britt Chiroli. So we go on from here. What this does now is it'll probably force the Nationals, I would think, to go out and try to find another infielder, because we just don't know anything more about this until we hear from Dave Martinez this afternoon or something else comes out about the alleged incident, Grant.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, Alcides Escobar is a starter on this team already right now. He's their leadoff batter. He was out of the sport last year, and he was in the minors all of this year. Now Jordy Mercer's also a starter. I mean, their infield is in shambles right now.
Right now it is, and again, you have to have Trey Turner playing at the top of his game. You have to hope for some pretty good defense around the diamond, and again, for them to stay relevant and stay within striking distance of the Mets, a lot of things have to change, mainly runners in scoring position and being able to hit with runners in scoring position. And that's a tough deal when this lineup has been as depleted as it's been throughout the year.
Yeah, Josh Harrison's kind of the first guy to fill in the infield, but he's now your starting left fielder because Kyle Schwarber's been hurt, and he's still on the injured list, you'd imagine, for a few more weeks. So that means Alcides Escobar at second and Jordy Mercer at third. Are they going to be able to make a move? There was some talk about Chris Bryant. I don't think they have anything near what it would take in the minor leagues to add him. Like, what should Mike Rizzo be trying to accomplish here?
Well, Mike Rizzo is a pretty good evaluator of talent and what is out there available, but you're right. I agree with you initially in that I don't think they've got enough to try to swing a Chris Bryant deal in any way, shape, or form. So from that standpoint, I think they're kind of stuck right now in neutral, if you will, to try to see where they are by the end of the month. I mean, if this thing goes south in a hurry, Grant, say within the first week and a half to 2 weeks of this month as we head toward the end of the month, then I would say, you may be looking at trying to get rid of some people.
It's a great point. They had played their way back into being buyers. Then they completely fell apart, lost their last 4 and 8 of their last 10 going into the break. And I'm not faulting them. I mean, they got decimated by injuries, and they shouldn't have won many more games than they did, frankly, against good teams like the Giants and the Dodgers who swept them. But here they are now, and you're placing a Castro on leave. You got Mercer starting. They just signed Rene Rivera to catch because both Gomes and Avila are hurt.
Right.
So he comes in from being out of baseball to start all of a sudden at 37 years old. He was hitting about 230 with Cleveland earlier this year. If you can make a move, does it have to be in the infield? Does that become their biggest need now?
I think it probably does at this point. And I was going to say pitching because you can never have enough of that. But I think really what has to happen here, Grant, is everybody's got to think back to that game in San Diego where Max starts it, he gets the big lead, 8-0, and then they tie at 8-8, and they wind up winning it in the bottom of the ninth inning. Do the Padres? I think that's the one game that you can look to if this thing goes south as to why it went south, because after that, they didn't win another game because they got swept in San Francisco.
Staying afloat means, as you said, Turner and Soto kind of carry them.
Yeah.
But the pitching staff is its own issue, in terms of just having a guy that gives you a chance to win every night. Other than Scherzer, Fedde goes this evening. He's been okay. Lester's a problem right now. Espino's been okay. I mean, we're thrilled because it's a guy we didn't expect, but if you just look at the numbers, they're fine. Like, where do they go from here in the rotation?
Well, and you have to hope Joe Ross reverts back to the way he was pitching, say in the middle of June, and helps out, until they can get some people back. Again, Strasburg's the big, the big thing here for them, and the elephant in the room, because without him, I don't think they've got any kind of chance. But if he can get back in somehow, shape, or form and perform the way we know he can down the stretch, and make sure he's 100% healthy, because the last thing you want is for him to come back, get hurt again, and then you're lost for the season with him. But if he's back and he can help out, that would go a long way to making sure this team stays afloat for a while.
Thank you, Heisty. We appreciate you.
All right.
Let's move along in the Blitz to basketball. Before I ask Nick Ashew about the Wiz, let's start with the finals, Nicholas. 4 games in, 2-2. Bucks storm back on home court. What have you thought about this series so far?
Well, it's clearly the team that's at home that has the advantage. It's really interesting because when you're looking at both of these squads, that was really the big conversation heading into the finals, or at least one of them, other than Chris Paul, obviously, was, hey, nobody on the court has played in the finals except for Jay Crowder. So you're seeing early on the fact that these teams just look like a totally different team versus on the road. And I think there's a good chance that this ends up going 7 games. Milwaukee looks much more comfortable now they've been in front of their home fans. And now, granted, it's much better Devin Booker in Game 4 than we saw Game 3, but this has the potential to shape up to being a good 7-game series. And I just hope, too, that they're close games. What we had in Game 4 was what everybody's been waiting for. We've had all these blowouts recently, so hopefully the rest of the way they're much closer games.
What player do you think has the best chance to determine who wins the finals in these final 3 games?
Well, there's one on each, and it's not Giannis. It's Devin Booker over in Phoenix. But really, you got to look at Chris Middleton, because when Chris Middleton is not just good but dominant, a star the way that he was in Game 4, the Bucks are a way better team, because so many the defense is going to focus on Giannis. They're going to sit there and create that wall. They're going to try to force him to shoot threes. But when Chris Middleton ends up being the clutch guy in the fourth quarter for them, he's somebody that stretches the floor. He's an offensive threat farther away from the basket for you. And you got to think, you had Drew Holiday go 4-20 in that game and 0-5 from 3. Now, he was tremendous defensively, but offensively he was non-existent. But they were still able to win because they get 26 and 14 from Giannis, and then you get 40 from Chris Middleton. As long as Chris Middleton plays at least close to the way that he did in Game 4, that gives Milwaukee an advantage.
Suns do have home court. You said that is the biggest factor in this series. Does that mean you think Phoenix is going to win 2 out of the next 3?
Yeah, I got Phoenix in 7, and I've seen them. They're still the favorites for most books that I've looked at, too. It's not a lot, but I have confidence that Phoenix is still going to end up winning this. Granted, that's as long as everybody stays healthy. Though my one concern, Grant, I'll say this, Chris Paul has been deteriorating every game, it seems like. Once you start watching him turn the ball over, that's a problem, because one of the things he's done so well throughout his career is just not make mistakes on the court. So it's going to be really key in Game 5 to see how he plays, because that may dictate the rest of the series.
He actually had half the number of turnovers as he had points in his last game in Game 4, which I don't need to tell you, Nick, can't happen. As far as the Wizards go, it sounds like they are zeroing in on Wes Unseld Jr. What would you make of that hire to be their next head coach?
I like it, man. It's been a drawn-out process, but for them to finally figure it out and decide to go that direction, I mean, he's paid his dues. He's been an assistant for a long time in the NBA. Obviously, there's family ties to the organization, and he was an assistant with them for a while. But, the key for me is that, one, you hear, because of the fact that he's an assistant coach, we don't have, a head coaching resume to see what he was like as a coach before, but you hear from so many other people about how respected he is. Now, how he's been a candidate for other jobs, which is always important, too. But it's also really good. He's coming from a Denver Nuggets organization that's really good defensively. And what Tommy Shepard, one of the points he made was, we got to be a better defensive team, and we've got to have a really good communicator as a coach. And he fits both of those molds. I think it's going to be a great hire for them.
Nick, thank you. Appreciate it, and enjoy what's left of these finals.
I will. Talk to you later, buddy.
Let's keep the blitz moving on Grant and Danny. Darren Haynes, CBS, Channel 9, WUSA-TV in town, joins us now. Darren, before we talk about the Washington football team, I was just talking to Nick about the Wizards, and it sounds like your sources are telling you this search could have ended.
Yeah, my sources are telling me that they're already preparing to announce Wes Unseld Jr. as the head coach. It could come out today. It could come out even possibly on Monday when they're going to announce that Wes Unseld Jr. is going to be the head coach. And, like previously what I was just listening to before, I think it's a great hire. The Wizards obviously need to improve on their defense because it's been in the bottom of the league the last 3 seasons. And what he has done in Denver defensive-wise the last 3 seasons, I think they're top 6 in defensive efficiency. That is a good hire and what the Wizards need.
If you check out Darren's Twitter account, he's got the story there for you now. There will be an announcement, he says, or a press conference today or on Monday, Unseld to the Wizards. It was a really lengthy process, and they took their time, but it sounds like you think they got the right guy.
Yeah, I know they have the right guy in it. And, of course, it helps out because, obviously the name behind, just the Unseld has a lot of history with the Wizards organization. And it's not like he's a new face, even though his dad obviously played here. He was the GM, but he was here before that. He was employed with the Wizards and worked with them. So it's a familiar face that they're bringing back that they already have a lot of respect for. So it's a good move.
I hate that this is the number one story we've been talking about today with the Washington football team, but it is. They're one of 2 teams in the NFL that's under 50% in vaccinations with the Indianapolis Colts. The AP reported that last night. When you saw that, what'd you think?
I was thinking that, that possibly could change when training camp actually starts. When the pressure's really on and you realize you're going back to training camp and you're not having the access you really want to have as a football team, that pressure, and I feel bad to say that it is pressure because a lot of us, for us to do our job, we vaccinated to do it the right way. That's going to change in regards to the Washington football team. Obviously a guy who's been vaccinated himself, to let them know so they can visually see, hey, we can make our football team a lot better if you get vaccinated. Of course, he respects everybody's decision, but when you're limited on what you can do to make your team better, that pressure really builds up for people to then get vaccinated so they can win some more games, and that's a way to improve by getting vaccinated.
And, Darren, that's the other part. We were talking about this on the show, but last year, all 32 teams operated with the same guidelines and parameters. The rules were equal for everyone, and that will not be the case this year. If you're over 85%, you're going to get to do things that teams under 85% can't. And so, there really is a disadvantage, whether people think there should be or not. That's just how it's going to work.
And that's a great point. And let's look at it like our job. We're going to cover the Washington football team during training camp, and we can't have face-to-face interviews unless we are vaccinated. So for us to do the best job that we can do, we need to be vaccinated. So that same mindset is for the Washington football team. That they can do with all the resources, they got to get vaccinated.
What position group are you most interested in watching, or where do you think there could be the most intrigue and competition at camp?
Oh, that's a great question. I think what we're going to probably look at, the defense I'm cool with. I can hang my hat on the defense that I know they're going to be in great shape. I also think that Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's his job to lose. He has the keys to the Maserati. But the competition where I look at it is more about sharing the wealth at the receiver position. Who's going to get the ball the most? Is Terry McLaurin going to do his thing? That's my only thing, because I feel like we have a lot of talent now at the receiver pool, and how is that going to spread the wealth? And when you look at like Steven Sims Jr. That's a guy where I kind of think he may not make the team this year. I feel like he may get cut unless he can catch some of the balls because there's that much competition in the receiving room now.
Yeah, it's very possible. Darren Haynes on our Beltway Blitz sports director and anchor. Hey, outside of Washington, but I know you were really close with Dwayne Haskins and members of his family last year. He had a tough thing go on this week in Pittsburgh. Have you been able to talk to him, what his mindset's like going into camp, and what are his chances to crack that roster with the Steelers?
Yeah, I did speak to the family, and there's only so much stuff that I can share. But what she wanted me to put out was that Dwayne, in this particular situation that's happened with his significant other, that he was the victim in this. This is what they're telling me. Of course, there's probably more to the story that I honestly don't know. But I know that Dwayne Haskins is having a tough time with the people he should trust.
Wow.
Yeah, and my thing is, for us, man, we always want any player to succeed in life, and there's been a lot of tough situations where Dwayne Haskins has maybe been around the wrong people, or maybe made the wrong decision because someone didn't tell Dwayne, hey, you don't want to do this because you can get in trouble. For an example, the birthday party where he wasn't wearing the mask. Like, the people around him, true friends should make you better. And right now, I think he's kind of struggling on who those true friends really are.
Interesting insight. Darren, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
No problem.
That is your Beltway Blitz on G&D. And I'll say this, too. I mean, Dwayne Haskins is 24 years old. So at some point, people around you can't matter as much about your results and how you're living your life as your own actions and your own decisions. He's going to have to... We said this early on in Washington. He's either going to grow up or it's not going to work. He's either going to mature or he's not going to be here. Well, he didn't, and he wasn't here. And in Pittsburgh, this is not an unlimited opportunity business. NFL, not for long. He does not have that 15th overall pick Teflon vest on that you wear when you get drafted to an organization. And he took a bunch of hits over and over and over again here in D.C., figurative hits to that vest, and eventually had to take it off and they cut him. But he's just signing there as a guy at the back of the roster making very little money. You don't get to get in trouble and keep your job. So this is generally a couple strikes and you're out business. When you get drafted as high as he did, you get a few more strikes at the plate. You get to look at 4 or 5, swing through 3, 4, 6 strikes. But eventually, you're going to have a hard time getting work. So you hope that with everything that went on, he and his wife are both okay and moving forward. Seems like via social media, they're on the same page and that he can get his act together and last in this league. G&D on the Fan, no Danny today. Next, we've got breaking news on one of the broadcasts of your favorite teams in town. A familiar face and voice could be coming back to the airwaves tonight. I'll give you those details, plus the thing I did today that you've all probably done hundreds of times in your life that I'd never done. This is Grant and Danny.
How do you order food for the office these days? How do you make sure it's on time and as ordered? How can you get it individually packaged? How? EasyCater. When you order on EasyCater.com, the food comes as ordered and on time 98% of the time. And when there's a problem, which is practically never,
Thank you for calling EasyCater.
you can reach someone in about 9 seconds. How do you order 24/7 from more than 80,000 restaurants? How? EasyCater. Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.
Small business owners know cutting costs without cutting quality is tough. How do you trim expenses without hurting your business? Easy. Get Spectrum Business. Call 888-489-2212. Switch to Spectrum Business and you can get the best internet and phone services for half of what you're paying today. Cutting costs can be easy when you get Spectrum Business. Just call 888-489-2212. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Innovation, resilience, agility. It's how Michigan businesses continue to work together to make a difference now and shape the future. Join us and make your mark where it matters. Visit michiganbusiness.org/radio.
What a day. Lots of news, much of it coming out of Nationals Park. Since I went on the air at 2 o'clock, G&D without D. Welcome back. You're listening to The Fan. So you know, and Craig just updated you, that the Nats will be without infielder Starlin Castro tonight and for at least a week as he's placed on administrative leave. The sport, Major League Baseball, the Players Association, now going to look into domestic violence allegations against the Nats third baseman who'd been hitting over 300 with an OPS over 900 over the last 30 games. So without him, Jordy Mercer's going to get the nod at third, and they'll need to go find a big league infielder somehow. But how about this bombshell? When you turn on the broadcast tonight, Bob Carpenter shows up on MASN, and he welcomes in his commentating analyst for the game. Justin Maxwell, who's been providing color commentary for the Nationals for the last few months, apparently will not be there. Sources have told The Athletic's Britt Giroli F.P. Santangelo will return to the booth tonight for the Nationals. Santangelo has been sidelined for more than a month as Major League Baseball and MASN investigated allegations of sexual misconduct, which Santangelo said from day one were false. This was a wild story, by the way. So remember, inadvertently, somehow I was kind of involved in the sense that when FP first wasn't able to do games, I got a call last minute to do a radio broadcast that turned into doing 2 TV games with Dan Kolko. And in a weird way, I guess, filled in for FP as the color commentator on MASN while Kolko was working for Bob. And in the first couple of days of May, I called Nats Marlins games on MASN. And it was one of the thrills of my lifetime. I had a complete blast. It was one of the great experiences I've ever had. It was really, really, really neat to sit in that seat. And it was an honor to take over for FP, and Justin Maxwell had done a couple games right before that, and everyone else that had been involved. Since then, FP came back for a couple days. I think his last tweet to this minute is from June 4th. No, I beg your pardon. I think it was May 4th. May 4th, he said, on my way to the ballpark. I'll be on the air today. See you guys then. I think he worked one game, and then after that was back off the air. Very, very strange situation. It all kind of began with his allegation via an anonymous social media account. Baseball and MASN then looked into it, and according to reporting from the Washington Post, they were at odds at one point over whether or not he should be on the air. The whole thing was strange, and it led to a couple of months of Maxwell doing the games and FP not being on the broadcasts. But apparently, according to Britt Giroli tonight, Santangelo will be back on the call on MASN, calling the Nats game with Bob Carpenter. It'll be his first game since early in May. You never know when these things happen, if this is the end of the road, if this is the last time we saw someone broadcast for the team, if their next gig will be elsewhere. You just kind of hope that when the facts come out, justice is done, and it sounds like, according to the reporting from The Athletic, a lengthy investigation from both parties, baseball and MASN, have led to FP being back on the air tonight. So that's great. Looking forward to seeing him on MASN, and I'm not sure if he'll address it or not, or what will be said, or if they'll just move on and talk baseball and act like nothing happened. But it sounds like Santangelo is going to be on the broadcast. Didn't see that coming right out of the All-Star break. He's back, and the hiatus is over. So I guess their investigation is done. I think what was complicated about that, too, is that both MASN and the Nats have a say in who's on the air. And while I guess at the end of the day it's MASN's call, the Nats have what is referred to as approval. And so the two had to kind of get an agreement on everything they were doing. And at times, maybe they were butting heads. It sounded like, according to what the Washington Post had reported. But that's breaking news. There's been a lot of that today on Grant and Danny. And Heisty will have more as it develops, I'm sure, every 30 in your updates. I did something today I had never done before. It stunned a few people in the studio to the point where it just so happened that our program director, Chris Kynard, was in studio when I was talking about doing this, and he was pretty shocked that this was my first time. I'm 33 years old. I've been on this spinning rock for a little while. I've been at this for some time now. Today, I made personal history in that I used chapstick on my chapped lips for the first time ever. In fact, right now, mid-sentence, as I'm talking to you, I'm dabbing this little ball of chapstick right onto my lips. When I was out in Denver, I don't know if the air is drier or what it is, but your boy, for the first time, my lips just got crushed. I'm not a chapped lips guy. Never have been. Never have had that issue. But they like cracked and it was painful. I'm like waking up in the middle of the night, licking my lips. It's been brutal. And so after 32 plus years, 33 plus years now, as we are into year 34 on this planet, I've never used chapstick. I've never had to. But today I broke down and did it. I asked my wife, I said, do we have chapstick? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, do we have it? She's, of course we have chapstick. I was like, where would it be? You don't know where our chapstick is? I don't use chapstick. So she starts digging through drawers. She pulls out the first one. She's like, this one might have a red tint to it. I'm like, doesn't that just make it lipstick? Isn't that what red chapstick is, basically? So I start to put that on. She's like, no, go with this. She's got 14 different kinds for different seasons. I'm like, what are we doing here? Never used it in my entire life. Darius, Ryan, your reaction to that item? Learning that your trusty pal and sidekick on this show is a first-timer?
I was definitely floored when you first said it because we talked about it pre-show.
How many times do you think you've used chapstick in your life?
I literally use it every day.
Every day?
Literally every day.
Do you have
a day has gone by where I didn't.
Would the junkies say your lips are nubs? Would they say you have hurting lips? Like when I think of you, I don't see chapped lips.
Right? Yeah. I guess you would describe it as nubs.
Really?
They can get pretty bad.
If I was cakes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely be a
now,
thing.
what is bad? Just like that, it looks like the peeling, sunburnt skin with like the white
skin.
flakes.
Mm-hmm. Peeling skin, and like when you rub your lips together, it kind of feels. Yeah. If I didn't use chapstick, it would feel dry and.
Okay,
and
so
kind of
let's
annoying.
say you stop using chapstick right now. How long until your lips feel awful?
Probably about 2-3 hours from now.
It's that quick?
Yeah.
And then 3 hours from now, you're miserable, or it's just an inconvenience?
It's an inconvenience. I wouldn't say miserable.
Do you ever does it get beyond that to the point where this is unsustainably awful, I can't deal?
Yeah. I can't remember the last time that it did because that's how often I use chapstick. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, like when I was younger and I, didn't care and wasn't using chapstick as often as I do now, my lips are like splitting and I'm having like sores from
That's
lip
what happened to
splits and
me.
things like that.
My lips split. It never happened in my life. So I guess my last question in this chapstick interrogation to you would be, you never forget your first. When did you start using chapstick?
Regularly, like in as much as I do now.
When's the first time you remember like keeping chapstick on you and you became a chapstick guy?
Probably high school. Yeah, pretty much. It's
like
it's a regular
life,
thing.
Basically.
Yeah, it's a regular thing in my pocket. Like when I leave the house, my pocket check is wallet, cell phone, keys, chapstick. That's my pocket check.
There's no way that's true.
That's 100% true. I can't leave the house without a chapstick.
So,
if I leave without a chapstick, I'm naked. That's the way I feel.
Bro,
I feel like I'm naked.
Crazy. So I say phone, wallet, keys. Every time I leave my house, phone, wallet, keys. In your head, on your checklist, you say
phone, wallet, keys, chapstick. Chapstick has to be in my pocket at all times.
That is incredible.
Yeah. And then I keep a backup in the car. Usually it gets melted in nubs, which sucks. But
yeah, you can't.
You got to. Well, it's usually the ones like the squeeze tube.
Right.
You can get away with those being melted. You
I've
can't do
gotten
the sticks.
chapstick like in a stocking for years or what. Like the amount of times I've seen and held chapstick is dozens. I've just never applied it. I don't know. I do know it's one of those things though that every person I've ever interacted with, they've used. They're chapstick people. I'm probably the only person I know that had never used chapstick. And I'm going somewhere with this. I want to talk about things that you've never done in your life that you could do today for the first time that everybody else does. I think this is the perfect example of that. Like yesterday, you come up to me and you go, have you ever used chapstick? I'd say, I'm actually thinking about it. My lips are killing me right now. I hate the feeling, but I'm going to tell you, since I started applying chapstick this morning, it's worked wonders.
I mean, you're just having a ball over there. It's like for those that are listening, it's the kind of like chapstick ball that you unscrew the cap there that you have.
It's literally it's the size almost of a golf ball,
right?
And I kind of twist the top in one direction, the bottom in the other direction, and it just kind of appears as like this ball of chapstick.
Yeah.
Now I still hate the feeling. Like I'm being very selective. I'm just applying directly, like with little pokes. I'm not like rubbing back and forth. I hate the oily feel, that gross feel of any kind. Like I don't use lotions on my skin. I hate like sunscreen, all that stuff. I just can't do that on my palms. So I don't want that feeling like around my mouth. But right on the spot in question, I'm applying the chapstick. It is working wonders. I get it. I get why people do this.
I still cannot believe that you've never used it once in your life. Not once.
Now, I got to go through my checklist with you. I'll do that in a second. Steve has a thought, though. He's in Fredericksburg. What's up, Steve? How are you?
Hey, Grant. I'm absolutely laughing my tail off. Okay, you just got back from Colorado, correct?
I did.
Okay. The altitude in that area is the reason why your lips are chapped.
Yeah, it pummeled me.
We went through. Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. If it's a cold sore, they make this little container called Brevia. That will take care of it. If it's chapped lips, which more than likely it is, it occurs with us whenever we go skiing, like at Snowshoe, West Virginia.
This is the definition of chapped lips. It's like very rough, kind of cracked. It's painful. Like I lick it, it feels a little bit better.
Yeah.
Brutal. But I've never had this before.
If you know anybody that sells Amway products, they make a lip balm that is the best ever. And again,
listen to this knowledge.
It's something that, again, I can't. How old are you, Grant?
I'm 33.
I got to say, you're awesome. I'm like your partner. I carry a thing of chapstick with me 24/7.
I appreciate that. So every day you leave the house, you grab chapstick?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes.
So here's the deal. I don't want to be alone on this, okay? I'm leveling with you guys. I'm telling you I did something today I'd never done that every single person I know has done. I want you guys to admit something to me next at 800-636-1067 that you have never done before, that you know you're alone in. And it could be, let's even make it something you've done a time or two, but you know everybody else does. That you won't and don't do. You haven't done. 800-636-1067 is the number. Your version of me using chapstick for the first time ever today. And it's not like I was always anti-chapstick, even though I don't like the idea of applying it. I've never really needed to do it. And it was bad, and I said, now's the time. Let's try out this chapstick. The thing that you did or will do for the first time, if it happens in the near future that you've never done, that 100% of everybody does. 800-636-1067 on the Gambit DC listener lines. Grant and Danny. No Danny today on the Fan.
Switching season is back at WOW. Get super fast, extra reliable Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. Plus, ask how to get $200 on us. Sign up at Wowie.com today.
Wow.
Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Grant and Danny, welcome back. Thanks for making the show part of your day. Big chapstick guy here as of about 8 hours ago. Never used chapstick in my life. Today was the day. 33 years old. Go to Denver. That altitude got to me. Elevation didn't work for the lips. They got pummeled. So I'm using chapstick. Had never done it. I'm asking you, what's a thing you've never done you know everybody else has? 800-636-1067. Couple people saying, if you need chapstick all the time. By the way, is chapstick the brand or is that the thing? Like, is chapstick the item or is that an actual brand? Like we say, here's a Kleenex, which is a type of tissue. Is chapstick Kleenex? Is that a company that makes the balm, or is it the actual thing? Like the lipstick-shaped thing is chapstick?
No, because it's called chapstick for chapped lips.
Understood.
No, I think you're right. I think chapstick is a brand.
It is a brand. So
Yeah.
Ryan...
Brock confirms as well.
Brock is saying so. So Ryan telling me the opposite of that is incorrect, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Ryan's totally wrong.
Okay.
So for example, I have Blistex right here.
Blistex,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Blistex, it says lip balm.
That's what I'm looking
Right.
for.
Yeah.
So the item is lip balm.
Right.
And then chapstick is what everyone refers to it as. By the way, good for them. They cornered the market.
Oh, they got it. They just pummel the market.
Because everyone just calls it chapstick. Like,
Right.
if you're hitting up the boys, you're like, hold on, I got to run home real quick and grab. Are you saying lip balm?
No.
What
I'm
do
going
you
to say
think?
my chapstick.
Even though you're using Blistex.
Correct.
I got you. 800-636-1067. Something you have never done that everybody does. Mike's on 95. What's up, Mike? Thanks for the call.
Hey, guys. What's happening, man? First-time listener cruising up north and couldn't help but call in.
First-time
47
listener
years
or
old.
first-time caller?
First-time listener.
Well, I'll be darned. How about that? Are you from
Yeah,
the
man.
area?
No, I live in North Carolina, and I travel for a living.
All right. Well, that Odyssey app will be your friend. We want you back at some point. What do you got?
Yeah, man. Okay, 47 years old. I have never had a cup of coffee in my entire life.
I
Not
love
even
it.
a sip.
I love it. We're boys
Don't get
on
me-
this. I have had...
Yeah.
I've definitely had sips of coffee because, you know this, it's one of those super annoying things like Star Wars where when someone finds out you haven't done it, they can't get over it and they try to ruin your life and make
Yep.
you do it. So I've had so many people go, just try this or just add this or what this place makes great coffee. And I still say I've never had coffee because I sip a couple times coffee. Like I've never swallowed or enjoyed it or had more than a sip and spit it out. It's disgusting and it smells awful and it tastes awful.
Yeah, I think the closest I've had is probably like something that's coffee flavored. Like if someone said, "Hey, try this coffee flavored, to chocolate or something like that," But even I don't even like the taste of that. But no, I've never drank or sipped a cup of coffee ever.
Wow, I like that one a lot. By the way, you're so right. And this is a thing that us guys can relate to who don't drink coffee, but the coffee flavored things are not for me. Like if I could never eat ice cream again, or I could eat ice cream that's got a coffee kick to it, like chocolate or vanilla or whatever, I would just never eat ice cream again. I hate whatever that taste is. Kevin's in Centerville. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Grant, how you doing?
Good.
So I'm definitely down with you on the lip balm thing as well. I'm 42 and may have used it once in my life.
Boom goes the
don't need it
dynamite.
anymore.
Like these guys can't fathom it. And my point is, it's never really been a consideration. Like I got a lot of things that are wrong with me, a lot of things that are gross about me. My lips are a little bit silly.
Yeah, I would agree with the hydration of the rest of my skin. Lubriderm, the lotion ain't going on my body. It's just not. I don't know what it is, but perfect skin, perfect lip. I guess.
Do you hate the feeling of like any kind when you like my wife's always any kind of like lotion, she's like, I'm going to put this on my arms or whatever. Anything touches my palms, I think it's the grossest feeling in the world.
Yeah, to me, it's not. This type of year, summer is dangerous for me because I'm very fair skinned and I have to put sunblock on. But it is like literally the worst thing that I can do to my skin. I hate the feeling of sunblock on my skin. It's just the worst. And you being in Denver would be even worse for me because I know the sun. You're so much closer to the sun, you get burned a lot easier out there. So
I got crushed.
No way.
Now I put a little bit on like my forehead and my face, but nothing on the arms or the chest. So like I've got the little triangle where my shirt was one button unbuttoned or what have you. That's annoying. I am notoriously awful at that, and luckily I had a mom for a while and now I have a wife, so like they're better and more responsible than I am. So hopefully it keeps me, knock on wood, out of some skin trouble long term. I hate the feeling. And I agree with you. If I'm taking a vacation to a beach in like 3 weeks, people start to get really excited. Danny was talking about his vacation for 2 weeks before he left. My main thought about going to the beach is, at some point I might have to put on sunscreen. That's the main thing I'm thinking about weeks out. Let's go to Kramer in Virginia. Pretty sure you starred in Seinfeld. What's up, dude? How are you?
Doing great today.
Good.
My first of all, chapstick is a fantastic product. There's no question about that. It does exactly the job it's supposed to do.
I'm telling you, this has been so effective, Kramer. So effective today. I feel so much better than right before I put it on.
It's effective. It is one of the best products you can buy. Now, I only use it. I'm not like Danny. I'm not a freak. I only use it when I need it. If I've been out in the sun too long, blah, 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 maybe 10 times a year, if that. Now, mine, I'm also right with you. I can't stand anything on my skin, and that includes bug spray. I've never used bug spray in my life.
Not one time? Do you go outside in the summer and cook
Not
out?
once.
Have you ever gone camping?
I golf all the time.
Every morning. Are you naturally repellent? Do they not bite you?
You need no, thanks. I'm good.
I don't know what that part meant.
I've never.
Was he ordering something at a restaurant, or was that his? I think he was saying no thanks, I'm good to someone offering him bug spray. That's the best I can put together. That's amazing, though. That's something I have a hard time fathoming because there's nothing worse than that feeling. You're sitting outside around a fire, or you go outside and you're grilling, and you're out there for 5 minutes. You start itching your arms and your legs because bugs are bothering the heck out of you. Or you could just do a radio show. And then bugs will be really, really bad, as long as it's here, because there's a million fruit flies in the studio. Never used bug spray. That is crazy to me. And you play golf all the time. That's kind of a show. I like where this is going. I want to hear more of these. We will get to our 5 at 5 a few minutes in the next segment. And remember, about 20 minutes from now, next segment, I'm going to be giving away 2 tickets to see Trevor Noah. But if you've got one of these that's fun, I want to hear it. In honor of me using lip balm for the first time ever, with some chapstick today, what is the thing you've never done that you know everybody else does? Grant and Danny on the Fan.
Why is there a harbor seal walking around the office?
Oh, that's our new CEO.
Come again?
Well, apparently they didn't order through EasyCater for the board meeting, and when the food didn't arrive, they kind of lost focus. Next thing you know...
We have a seal as our CEO. Did I say something wrong?
No, she just wants a mackerel. Here you go.
Bad ideas happen when there's no food for the meeting. So make sure it's on time and as ordered from more than 80,000 restaurants. Now, EasyCater.
Thank you. I just got promoted.
Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.
Small business owners know cutting costs without cutting quality is tough. How do you trim expenses without hurting your business? Easy. Get Spectrum Business. Call 888-489-2212. Switch to Spectrum Business and you can get the best internet and phone services for half of what you're paying today. Cutting costs can be easy when you get Spectrum Business. Just call 888-489-2212. Restrictions apply. Call for details.